No one's promised tomorrow. It took me a whole month to do this video. I wanted to quit YouTube because what I'm about to explain to you fucked me up. Before this situation that I'm about to explain to you, I felt as though that I was invincible. I had this God complex, like I couldn't be touched. That certain things happen to certain people, but it would never happen to me. And throughout the month of January, it was proven that I ain't nothing but a human fucking being. And that no one is promised tomorrow. Hear me out as I tell you my testimony. It was January the 5th. I was sitting and I was, we're actually standing up, cooking. And I get a phone call from the hospital. Now, taking heed, my loved one, dear to me, family, the one that looks out for me the most, was just going to the hospital for a checkup. I just dropped her off. I get a phone call because, of course, she puts down my name as a contact in case of an emergency. I get a call from the hospital and they say that there's a problem and that you need to come down to the hospital. And I'm like, what's going on? And of course, they're not telling me anything. I want answers, but nobody's telling me anything. So to make a long story short, I pack the children up, get in the car, taking heed. This is 11 o'clock at night. The children are really ready to go to fucking sleep. They ate. We get to the hospital. I say to myself, you know what? These motherfuckers are lying. Ain't nothing wrong with her. I'm just gonna go to the room that she was in and everything will be okay. So I get to the room, I open the door, and she's not there. The only thing that's there is a cart with her bag on top of it. And then I knew something was truly wrong. So a nurse pulls me to the side and tells me she's in the ICU unit. And I'm like, what the fuck is she doing there? So then they take me to this ICU unit, and I get there, and it takes about 45 minutes for a doctor to come in to tell me what the fuck is going on. And they finally tell me that she had a pulmonary embolism that caused her to go into a cardiac arrest. At the same time, she had multiple of seizures. And that we had to put her under an induced coma. And she's in the ICU unit. And you can go back there and see her, but she is non-responsive. She will not hear you. She will not be able to talk. And I break. Because this is a woman that is healthy and young. This is a woman that I have love for. And this doctor is telling me this, and she's disconnected because it's not her loved one. that's in the ICU unit. So to make the long story short, I had to have a nurse watch my children while I go back into the ICU unit to see her. So I go back there, and it's like the Valley of Death. She's in room 21. So I had to walk past 20 rooms on the left and the right hand side to see people that have cords and fucking respirator machines, the tubes down their throat. And I get to room 21, and I see my loved one, and she has the same thing. The respirator machine is breathing for her. She has a tube stuck down her throat, so her mouth is open like that, while her tongue was out because they said that she bit her tongue multiple times, and the blood and her hands is like this because she went into a seizure. So when a body goes into a cardiac arrest and goes into seizures and then it stops, that's the condition that person is in. So her hands is bent like this, and her fucking arms is bent, and the only fucking thing that she's doing is breathing, and the machine is breathing for her. They had this thing up under her because her blood pressure had shot up, and they had to cool her down. So they had this padding up under her to cool her body down. So I'm touching her forehead, and she's frozen. I couldn't believe it. I had to call her mother. I had to call her friends and let them know what was going on. And then it got to the point where the nurse contacted me and said she could no longer watch my children. So I had to leave my loved one right there in that hospital alone under those conditions. So the next day came. Her mom's came down, and she's there. So basically, I talked to the doctor again, me and the mother, and they said, you know, she had a blood clot, and that they have her on blood thinners. They had her on something else. I forgot what it was. You know, she's doing a little bit better. They ran test results, and they checked her. They did a CAT scan on her brain and everything. Everything seems to be normal. But we don't know how much damage it caused until she comes up out of the coma. So basically what they're saying is that everything is normal, but she may come out of the coma and not know who the fuck she is. She may she may not know how to walk. She may not know how to talk, etc. So we're basically doing this waiting game. This is going on the motherfucking second day. And she's in this induced coma. And it's crazy because in Atlanta, in Metro Atlanta, these days that were going on, you know, while I was going back and forth to the hospital, it was the coldest days that I ever experienced here. I mean, the highs were like 35. And I caught the flu. My children got sick because we were going back and forth, back and forth. So to make the long story short, she came out of the induced coma. And of course, she don't know what the fuck is going on. She feels as though that she's gonna die. She wants to get the hell up out of here. And they're telling her, you know, well, we have to continue to monitor you, so you have to be here, blah, 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 blah. So to make the long story short, she came up out of it, and everything was fine, but she started complaining about her leg. And they didn't really listen to her, right? So now, the next day comes and her leg is swole up. So to make the long story short, they had put her on blood thinners, and somehow, some way, the blood wasn't moving, and it started to swell her leg up. So now they're like, you're gonna have to walk and you know, walk it out and do this and do that. But to make the long story short, this is where the IVC filter comes in. Because they're basically saying that this and that happened and we want to make sure that this doesn't happen, blah, 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 blah. So we're gonna put you on blood thinners. You're gonna have to inject this particular, I forgot what it was called, but you had to put a needle on the side of your stomach. And we're gonna put an IVC filter in. Now this IVC filter, I've done the research on it. The shit is very dangerous. The stems could break off and float into your fucking lungs, into your heart, and cause you to die. The IVC filter itself can float. You see what I'm saying? And they had to put it in there. So it's inside her vena cava, the main artery. And we're still going through this shit till this day. She has to go back and forth to the doctor every fucking week. She has to inject that shit in her every fucking day. She has to take fucking pills every fucking day. This is a woman that was healthy, that had no problems, walked in the motherfucking hospital for a checkup and walked out with a bunch of shit. My life will never be the fucking same. My life has been turned upside fucking down. And now I know I'm not invincible. And now I know that I can't procrastinate. I can't tell a person tomorrow that I love them. I gotta tell them today. Because they may not be here, neither will I. It's a chance that I might die. Anything can happen at any given moment. You know what's so funny? A lot of people said, I had you in prayers, you know. We prayed for her. And I just totally ignored that shit. Because if your God is so awesome, why would he put her in that situation? And don't give me that it's a test shit. We're good people. We try to be the best that we can be. We are humanitarians. It's nothing that I wouldn't do for human beings. My channel was about inspiring people. She is an outstanding human being. So why would God take her through anything, let alone me? So I totally ignored that shit. The only person that got her out of that situation was her strong will to live and those doctors that operated on her. Because her heart had stopped for 45 minutes and they had to resuscitate her. They had to bring her back. 2 nurses, excuse me, not doctors, 2 nurses had to breathe for her and had to pump her heart for 45 minutes. It wasn't Jesus. It wasn't fucking God. It was those 2 nurses and my loved one, her strong will to live. Nobody's promised tomorrow. So I have to live every day like this is my last day on the planet Earth. And I want to tell you all out there, that's how you supposed to live. If you got a problem with your mother and your father, your friends and family, let them know. Call them, talk to them. Tell them you love them. Work it out, because you may not see them. And I have the most profound respect for those that have lost their loved ones. For those that have their loved ones that's in the ICU center, because it doesn't stop. Just because my loved one is out, that doesn't mean that when one bed is vacant, right? Another patient comes in. I don't know how many motherfucking people have died at Northside Hospital, Grady Hospital, or any hospital around the motherfucking world. People have heart attacks, going diabetic comas, and get shot and get hit by a fucking car wrecks and shit like that. Shit happens. And now I know the pain that people endure. And I had to do this video, regardless of whether I do another one or not. No one is promised tomorrow. Tell the people that you love them. Live your life as if you're not gonna live tomorrow. That means get everything done today. This is Langston, 2092.